You are floating, not in space, not in dream, but in something quieter, the current of time itself. Around you, the air hums faintly, like the hush before dawn. The river of time is wide, endless, and strangely alive. You can't see where it begins or ends, only how it moves, soft and continuous, carrying every second that ever was. Your body feels weightless, yet connected. Every heartbeat seems to echo in the current. You look down, and beneath the surface, you see images, childhood laughter, falling rain, the shadow of someone you once loved, a leaf turning in autumn light. They drift by as if time has been recording everything, layering memory upon memory. For a moment, you reach out. Your fingers touch the flow, and the images ripple. You realize that each second of your life, every breath, every thought, becomes part of this great stream. You are not separate from time. You are woven into it. Time is not a line. Not really. We like to think it's an arrow, always pointing forward. But if you listen closely, it feels more like water. It bends around obstacles. It loops. It slows. It rushes. It is patient. It does not hurry. Even now, as you drift, you begin to sense something profound. Time doesn't pass. We do. The river moves because we move within it. In the distance, you notice something glowing, faint pulses of golden light, rhythmically drifting downstream. You realize they are moments. Each light represents a second, one heartbeat of the universe. You watch as they flow past you, glimmering softly, each one born and gone in the same motion. It feels comforting, like breathing. You remember the way clocks tick on Earth, the way seconds seem to fall off the edge of a dial, one by one. But here, there are no ticks, no edges, only flow. You wonder, is time truly constant, or does it only feel that way because we measure it with our own hearts? A calm voice, perhaps your own mind, whispers that Einstein once wondered the same thing. He saw time not as a rigid ruler, but as something flexible, almost alive, like this river. He imagined what would happen if you moved faster, if you chased light itself. Would your time change? Would the river slow down for you, or would it rush ahead? As the thought settles, the current shifts. You feel motion, not of the river, but within yourself. Suddenly, you sense how movement can change the rhythm of time. The faster you go, the slower it seems to pass. It's as if speed stretches the water, pulling time apart like silk between your fingers. You drift deeper into that thought. The air shimmers with possibility. You imagine a person walking along the bank of this river, watching you float by. To them, your motion appears slow, tranquil. But from within the river, from your perspective, everything feels unchanged. You feel normal, as though time flows at its usual pace. That's the secret Einstein uncovered. Time doesn't move the same for everyone. It bends, it dances, it warps with speed and gravity. You picture two ripples forming on the surface, one small and near, the other wide and distant. Both began at the same point, but as they move outward, they drift apart. One ripple moves faster, one slower, depending on where it flows. That's how moments behave in the universe. They stretch differently, depending on how you move through them. You can almost feel this truth in your bones. There is no universal clock ticking above everything. There are only individual rivers, one for every being, every atom, every photon. Each carries its own sense of time. You close your eyes, and the sensation deepens. The sound of the river becomes your pulse. your breath, your very sense of existence. The idea that time can change, that it can slow or quicken depending on how you move, feels both strange and beautiful. It means the universe is not rigid, not mechanical, but soft and alive. Imagine two travelers. You think one standing still on the bank, one sailing swiftly across the current. To the one on the bank, the traveler's clock seems slower, their heartbeats stretched, their seconds longer. But to the traveler, nothing feels unusual. Their time is normal. It's the universe around them that seems to change. And so, the river reveals its secret. Time is not absolute. It's relative. You open your eyes again, and now the current seems to shimmer differently. Every eddy, every gentle whirlpool tells a story of stars spinning, of galaxies drifting, of photons racing at light speed. The faster something moves, the more its time bends. If you were to ride a beam of light, you would find time frozen, no seconds passing, no aging, no change. From light's perspective, the universe is a single, eternal moment. The thought makes you still. You drift quietly, imagining what it would feel like to exist outside of time, not before or after, but forever now. The edges of your awareness soften. You sense that time, at its heart, is not a cage, but a companion. It flows beside you, carries you gently through the unfolding of moments. And just as you begin to relax into its rhythm, something in the distance stirs. The current thickens, the flow quickens. You begin to feel subtle changes around you, distortions in the water, like ripples crossing paths. The lights of the river bend and twist, forming patterns. You realize you are no longer drifting through ordinary time. You are entering motion, a region where speed begins to shape the current itself. Einstein's question whispers through the current. What happens to time when you move faster? You watch as another traveler appears ahead, a faint figure gliding swiftly along the stream. They move differently, their trail shimmering with blue light. Their time seems slower, their surroundings blurred. You can feel their seconds stretching, even as yours flow normally. This traveler turns toward you for an instant, their eyes calm, almost knowing. You can't hear them speak, but you sense their message. Speed changes everything. And then they drift away, slower yet faster, paradoxes unfolding like waves around them. The river hums with energy now, vibrating with curiosity. You feel drawn forward, toward the mystery of that moving traveler. The idea of time bending under motion calls to you like music. You wonder if the river ends, if there's a point where time stops entirely. Could there be a speed where the current freezes? You float onward, and the stars above begin to move with you. Their light elongates into trails, a reminder of how even light must wrestle with time. The more you move, the more time feels like a fabric stretching thin, delicate, and endless. As you drift, a sense of peace fills you, understanding that time is not fixed, that it can change, makes everything softer. There's no rush, no true lateness. You are always exactly where you are meant to be within your own current. Even now, as the river carries you forward, you feel your thoughts slowing. The hum of existence lulls you. Somewhere ahead, you sense that another story awaits. The story of that mysterious traveler who whispered without words. The current darkens slightly, turning deep blue. The sound of the water fades into a low hum, the hum of velocity. You take one last look around this calm stretch of the river, committing it to memory. The reflections of moments shimmer below, your past selves waving gently from beneath the surface. You exhale, and the current carries your breath away. In this tranquil surrender, one truth remains. Time is not a ruler, but a river, and you are forever drifting within it. And as you drift farther, you begin to sense motion building. The calm water starts to narrow, the current tightening around you. You remember the traveler who moved faster than time itself, and you wonder if speed can slow time. What happens when we try to catch up with light? The question lingers like mist above the river. It calls you forward, toward the next story, toward the traveler's whisper. You drift through the deep blue current of time, carried onward by the river that began in silence. The glow ahead grows brighter now, a figure gliding through the current with deliberate grace. The traveler dot, they move not with effort, but with intention, cutting through the stillness like a note through water. Around them, time ripples. It is not violent, not torn or shattered, just altered. The light bends toward them, the current thickens. Every motion seems to echo with quiet purpose. You watch as the traveler moves faster, but something strange happens. Their clock slows. It's a soft, invisible change, but you can feel it. Each of their movements seems to take longer, not because they are tired, but because their seconds have stretched. If you were to hold a clock beside them, its hands would drift slower than yours. Their heartbeat would echo further apart. Time itself has chosen to walk at a different pace beside them. You do not see this as magic. You sense the symmetry of it, the calm logic hidden beneath beauty. The faster one moves through space, the slower one must move through time. It's as if the universe preserves balance, gently adjusting the rhythm so that nothing outruns its own existence. The traveler's whisper reaches you, not sound, but feeling, a pulse, a slow breath. I am not moving through space alone. Space is moving with me. The idea shimmers like starlight across still water. You feel the truth unfold quietly in your mind. Motion is not simply about distance. It is about fabric, the intertwined threads of space and time. When one stretches, the other must bend to keep the tapestry whole. You imagine the traveler surrounded by a bubble of curved reality, like a soft cocoon. Outside that cocoon, the universe rushes by. Inside, time has thickened, slowed, folded. The light from distant stars bends as it passes, its path curving gently around the traveler's momentum. To them, everything feels calm. To the universe, they have become a slow-moving rhythm within a fast-moving world. You try to understand what this means, not as a calculation, but as a sensation. You picture yourself walking along a quiet road. As you begin to move, the air brushes your face. The world around you changes. But what if, the faster you walked, the slower your own time flowed? What if motion wasn't just travel, but transformation? The traveler shows you. They move again, this time nearly brushing the edge of light's domain. The current of time around them elongates, colors blur. The stars begin to tilt, their light stretched into long, trembling ribbons. This is not chaos, it is harmony. The universe adjusting itself to honor the rule of speed. You see their body glimmer, as if half translucent, existing in a slowed rhythm. Each motion they make unfolds in graceful delay, like a slow-motion dream. Even sound hesitates to follow. Your breath catches. You realize, the faster they move, the more the universe must bend to keep light the same. Because light, the ultimate traveler, never changes pace. Everything else must yield. The traveler's slowed time is the universe's quiet obedience, to that eternal speed. You drift closer, feeling the soft hum of relativistic space surround you. It's not frightening. It's peaceful, as though the laws of reality themselves have been tuned to a lower note. The air feels thicker, but gentle. You reach out, and your fingers pass through a slow-moving droplet of light. It wobbles, stretching like honey, suspended mid-air. The traveler turns toward you, and though their motion is smooth, their voice takes an eternity to reach. When it does, it arrives as a whisper through your thoughts. I am not faster than time. I am simply taking more of it with me. You understand. The secret of motion is not about running ahead of the universe, but learning how to carry time differently. For them, a journey that seems brief might last years for the world left behind. The paradox unfolds quietly in your mind, one traveler aging slower than their home. You remember the twin who stayed, the twin who left, and how one returned younger. It was not a trick, not an illusion. It was the universe expressing empathy for movement. The traveler moves still faster now. You can see their surroundings begin to curve. The current of time tightens into spirals, slow golden vortices swirling around them. The stars nearby appear to freeze, trapped within stretched moments. It's as if the entire cosmos has decided to wait for them to pass. There's no sound, only the pulse of silence. You realize you are no longer outside this phenomenon. You are inside it. Your sense of now begins to stretch. Every thought seems longer, every heartbeat separated by eternity. It feels almost sacred, like stepping into the breath of the universe. Time dilation isn't a machine or a weapon. It's a lullaby written into the fabric of motion. And as you listen, you sense how gentle it truly is. It does not break time. It caresses it, softens it, makes it patient. In this calm, you see how the traveler becomes both ancient and newborn. Their seconds are vast. Their moments are precious. You sense the compassion of physics, that even at light speed, reality ensures experience remains continuous. It's not speed that matters, but balance. You begin to perceive what Einstein must have felt in that dream, that reality is not rigid, but mercifully elastic. You realize that time itself adjusts, so nothing within creation feels disjointed. The faster one moves through the universe, the more time bends to preserve their journey's continuity. The thought is humbling. You understand why the traveler whispers instead of speaks, because even sound must slow to match the rhythm of their world. You imagine how lonely such speed could be. While others age and change, the traveler remains caught between instants. They witness years pass in moments, but for them, only a few heartbeats have gone by. It is not sadness you feel, but awe, a deep reverence for the resilience of the human spirit, and the strange tenderness of physics itself. The universe, you realize, is not indifferent. It always keeps balance. Even when we move fast enough to distort time, it does not punish us. It simply adjusts, letting both fast and slow coexist in quiet harmony. You watch as the traveler pauses, suspended in their luminous cocoon, their face serene, eyes reflecting distant galaxies that now seem unmoving. Around them, seconds hover like orbs of golden dust. It's beautiful, a portrait of serenity caught between speeds. The traveler raises a hand. You sense they are showing you something, not with words, but through rhythm. Every motion they make corresponds to a wave in the river of time. You begin to feel that wave move through you, too. You are slowing down with them, your heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of the cosmos. In this alignment, You feel what it's like to step outside the frantic pace of ordinary time. It is not emptiness, it's fullness. Every instant feels infinite. Every breath feels like a lifetime. You realize how much of life we rush through, believing we are moving faster, when in truth, we are merely slipping through our own seconds without seeing their depth. The traveler's lesson is clear. The slower time becomes, the more you truly inhabit it. You are still drifting beside them, suspended in golden fog. The laws of physics surround you like a dream, unwavering, elegant, and kind. The light here is soft, as though the stars themselves are whispering slower. You feel as though you've stepped inside a heartbeat stretched across the universe. Every now and then, fragments of ordinary memory flicker round you. The sound of rain, the ticking of a clock, the warmth of someone's hand. All those moments so brief, so fleeting, suddenly feel enormous. You see how motion, speed, and time are not enemies but dancers, weaving the music of existence. The traveler drifts upward, and you follow, weightless. You pass through layers of light where time seems to shimmer like liquid glass. You see trails of yourself, echoes delayed, reflections moving slower than your thought. It is breathtaking, and you do not want to leave. Somewhere within that stillness, you sense that every being in the universe carries a different tempo. No two clocks beat exactly the same, and that is what keeps reality alive. Each traveler, each star, each thought vibrating to its own gentle rhythm. You understand now why speed warps the clock. It isn't punishment or distortion. It's harmony, the universe's way of keeping balance between movement and stillness. The traveler drifts ahead, farther into the depths of the current. Their form fades into light. The whisper that began this journey still lingers around you, folding softly into the background hum of time. It is not an ending, but a breath, long, slow, infinite. And in that breath, you hear the river again, moving endlessly onward. Night settles softly over the world, a quiet blanket of still air, full of drifting thought. You can almost hear it, the hum of thinking minds, the breath of discovery just before it finds its voice. In a small, dimly lit room, a man sits awake, lost in the rhythm of his own imagination. His name is Albert Einstein, and tonight he dreams with his eyes open. The lamp beside him flickers, throwing gentle waves of gold across papers scattered like fallen leaves. Each page is a fragment of curiosity, notes, scribbles, sketches of clocks and beams of light. Outside the window, the stars pulse faintly, unaware that in this still moment, one human mind is about to rearrange the way the universe is understood. He leans back in his chair, exhausted but alive, and wonders, what would it be like to ride a beam of light? The question feels innocent at first, like a child's game, but as he lets the thought deepen, something vast opens up behind it. He imagines himself seated on that beam, gliding effortlessly through space. Everything around him, the stars, the planets, even time itself, blurs into silence. The light moves forward at the one speed the cosmos will never change. And then a strange realization forms. From light's point of view, time does not pass. It is a dream of paradox, a dream that erases distance and duration. To the traveler of light, the journey from one star to another is instantaneous. Even if the universe itself takes 1,000 years to witness it, the beam does not age, does not wait. It simply is. Einstein breathes slowly. The room seems to dissolve around him. You can feel yourself drifting with him now, as if your mind too has stepped into the rhythm of that thought. The walls fade, The lamp softens, and the sound of ticking clocks slows into long, velvety silence. You are both observers and dreamers now, floating on the edge of understanding. He pictures two mirrors facing each other, and a single pulse of light bouncing endlessly between them. Tick, tock, tick. That is a clock made of light. It measures time not with gears or pendulums, but with the most constant rhythm in existence, the speed of light itself. And yet, something in this dream doesn't fit. He imagines watching this clock while standing still, and then again while it moves past him, gliding swiftly. If the clock moves, the beam of light must travel diagonally, a longer path between the mirrors. But the speed of light, he reminds himself, can never change. So if the beam travels a longer path at the same speed, that must mean the clock ticks slower. He closes his eyes. You feel the spark ignite, quiet, profound. A shift in reality so gentle it feels like a breath drawn in reverse. The moving clock ticks slower. Time itself slows down. It isn't illusion. It's law. The faster you move, the slower your seconds pass. Time, once believed to be universal, is personal, relative. You feel the universe pause for a moment, as if listening to its own heartbeat. Einstein exhales softly, and you feel the breath ripple through the fabric of this dream. The lamplight brightens, casting slow golden arcs across the ceiling. Every shadow in the room seems to stretch, like seconds elongating. You can almost hear the hum of space-time bending. It feels calm, inevitable, beautiful. The laws of the universe unfolding not as commands, but as poetry. He sees in his mind the train, the thought experiment that will soon become legendary. A long train gliding at unimaginable speed across a quiet plain. A flash of lightning strikes both ends. To the person on the platform, the flashes seem simultaneous. To the person on the train, one flash comes first. Who is right? Both, of course. For time is not one story told to all. It is many stories woven together, each true within its own motion. The dream deepens. The universe is no longer a flat stage. It breathes, it curves, it dances with motion and gravity, bending softly around mass and speed. Time and space are not separate threads. They are a single fabric, stretching and folding, rippling with every heartbeat and planet and photon that passes through. In the dim light of that small room, you sense the enormity of the moment. The man is not just thinking, he is listening. Listening to the universe whisper its structure through his imagination. What he hears is not thunder or revelation, but something gentler, a rhythm, like the sound of waves against the shore of understanding. He smiles faintly. Outside, snow begins to fall, quiet as dust on parchment. You can see each flake drift downward, slowly, patiently, as if obeying the same laws he has just uncovered. Every motion in the world, from falling snow to orbiting planets, is part of this same elegant geometry of time and space. You drift closer to the idea. You feel its warmth. The knowledge that nothing in the universe is truly separate, that motion and time are endlessly intertwined, feels comforting. The cosmos is not chaos. It is rhythm. It is balance. Einstein leans forward, his pen trembling slightly in his hand. He begins to write, not equations yet, but words. Words about light, clocks, and the way reality feels different to every observer. You realize that in this soft, glowing moment, the greatest discoveries are born not in noise or brilliance, but in silence, in gentle curiosity that refuses to fade. The dream continues. You follow the thought into deeper waters. You see galaxies turning, their light curving through the cosmos. You see astronauts floating in orbit, their clocks moving slower than those on Earth. You see a planet's gravity bending time like glass under pressure. And through it all, you feel the calm certainty of the same law that began here. In this room, in this quiet dream, time is not absolute. There is no universal now, only perspectives, each real, each personal, each valid. You begin to sense how this understanding changes everything, not only science, but perception. Every human moment becomes its own universe, every heartbeat its own timeline. When two people part, their times diverge, ever so slightly, until they meet again. Even lovers, even stars, even clocks on opposite sides of a ship. The dream grows deeper still. You begin to drift through the fabric itself, a landscape made not of matter, but of possibility. You see waves of time, folding like silk, soft and infinite. You see motion turning them into curves, like wind sculpting sand. You float weightlessly between them, feeling no urgency, no past or future, only the smooth presence of now, endlessly repeating. In this space, light feels different. It doesn't rush. It simply is. It connects every observer, every path, every story. Light is the thread that keeps all realities consistent. It is the messenger of truth between perspectives. Einstein's dream becomes your dream. You see yourself holding a clock, watching its seconds fall like rain. Then you begin to move, slowly at first, then faster still. The ticking slows, stretches, until it becomes one long note of eternity. You have entered the geometry of time. You understand that slowing is not loss, it's expansion. You are touching more of existence in each heartbeat. The room reappears. The lamp glows steadily now. The man's pen scratches across the paper. He is smiling faintly, not because he has finished, but because he has begun. There will be years of struggle ahead, confusion, disbelief, yet he knows what he saw was true, and that truth is calm. It does not need defense. You sense something deeply human in him, the simplicity of wonder, the courage to imagine. You realize that every discovery begins with the willingness to dream of what cannot yet be measured. He leans back again. The lamp hums quietly. You can almost feel his thought lingering in the air. Reality is gentler than we think. It bends, it forgives, it allows. The dream dissolves into a quiet field of stars. You drift above his world now, watching the faint lights of towns below and the cold, precise beauty of the cosmos beyond. Somewhere between those two realms, the intimate and the infinite, lies the space where imagination becomes law. You see light traveling through galaxies, constant and pure. You see planets swinging in slow arcs, clocks ticking differently across the vastness. You see travelers and dreamers and thinkers, all moving through time at their own pace. Unaware, they are living proof of a dream once dreamt under a dim yellow lamp. You exhale. The universe breathes with you. The dream remains. Soft, endless, true. Imagine a quiet evening before departure. Two twins standing side by side, sharing the last breath of a summer dusk. The air carries the scent of rain, the hum of cicadas, and something else, that unspoken knowing that once one of them leaves, nothing will ever be the same. The first twin, the traveler, looks upward, eyes reflecting the faint shimmer of a waiting spacecraft. The second twin, the watcher, looks outward, not at the stars, but at the empty space between them. That invisible gap is what will separate them, not distance alone, but time itself. You stand with them now. You feel the pulse of quiet tension in the air, not sorrow, not fear, but the still weight of inevitability. For time, as Einstein's dream revealed, does not flow the same for everyone, and tonight they are about to prove it. The traveler steps forward, touching the ship's metallic surface, cool and soft beneath his hand. The watcher lingers on the ground, listening to the soft whir of machinery beginning to wake. There's something deeply human about this scene. The longing to go and the longing to stay. The moment stretches like light itself, suspended between what has been and what will be. As the countdown hums through the air, the traveler whispers, "I'll see you soon." The words are true, yet they hold an unseen irony, because soon, for one twin, will mean something entirely different for the other. Then the engines ignite, a slow, thunderless bloom of blue light. The ground shivers, the air ripples. The traveler rises gently into the night sky, swallowed by stars. The watcher lifts his hand, fingers trembling in the fading glow, and time quietly begins to split. In the silence that follows, space itself seems to expand. The traveler's ship cuts through the darkness with steady acceleration. Within it, clocks begin to slow, not broken, not delayed, but obedient to the laws of relativity. The faster the ship moves, the slower the seconds pass. At first, it's imperceptible, just a whisper of difference, but as the speed grows closer to light's eternal limit, that whisper becomes a voice, then a song. Inside the spacecraft, moments stretch. Outside, they race ahead. The traveler feels calm, weightless, unburdened by the rush of time. He looks at his watch. The hands move gently, patiently. He takes a deep breath, and it feels endless, as if the air itself is waiting for him. He does not know that on Earth, his twin's heart beats thousands of times for every breath he takes. Back home, the watcher grows older beneath the same sun. He walks through seasons, spring into autumn, autumn into snow. He measures days by the shadows on the wall, and years by the fading of his reflection. The world turns, unhurried, and yet for him it moves swiftly. He often looks up at the stars and wonders if his brother is looking back. The distance between them has become infinite in feeling, and yet he senses connection, a golden thread woven through the fabric of space-time. For even though their clocks disagree, the bond they share exists outside of any measure. And you, standing somewhere between their worlds, can almost feel the pulse of that thread. It hums like a soft current through your chest, a reminder that time is not a wall, but a field. Far from home, the traveler stares out into the endless dark. The windows of the ship glow faintly, a warm halo of light against cosmic silence. The stars around him blur into streaks, not because they move, but because time itself bends under his motion. He knows that years are passing on Earth. He knows that by the laws of relativity, his own clock is ticking slower. Yet the knowledge feels unreal, like a dream remembered only by feeling. In this stillness, time loses its shape. There is only motion and thought. He imagines his twin sitting beside the old lamp, perhaps the same kind Einstein once used, reading letters he will never receive in real time. The idea brings a quiet ache, not sadness exactly, but awareness that life itself is a collection of different timelines, all real, all overlapping. He closes his eyes. In that darkness, you can see what he sees. Visions of home, waves against the shore, a familiar face lit by sunlight. These images drift slowly through his mind like constellations rearranging themselves. Outside, space-time bends gently around the ship. The faster he moves, the deeper he falls into that curve, not downward, but inward. It's as if he's sinking into the folds of the universe's own memory. Every heartbeat echoes like a century. Every glance out the window feels like a lifetime of stillness. He looks at the clock again. It tells him that only a few years have passed, but he knows that somewhere else, on Earth, in another frame of reference, decades have slipped quietly by. This is the paradox. Both clocks are correct. Both truths exist at once. On Earth, the watcher has grown older. His hair carries threads of silver now. The world around him has changed. New buildings, new music, new stars visible in the night sky. But the same moon rises, and the same longing remains. Sometimes, late at night, he dreams of his twin returning. He dreams that they meet again in the same field, that the years fall away in a breath. But when he wakes, he knows if that reunion ever happens, one of them will carry more time than the other. He sits by the window and thinks of what it means to age. Perhaps he thinks time is not something that happens to us, but something that grows within us, like rings in a tree, invisible but unbroken. He wonders if his brother feels time at all, or if he lives now in some eternal calm, far beyond the rush of earthly seconds. When the ship finally begins to turn home, the traveler feels the first ripple of gravity tugging gently against the hull. It is a quiet signal, a whisper that the long journey is folding back upon itself. The return is not simple. In order to slow and reverse, the traveler must accelerate again, and that change of motion, that subtle break in the symmetry of the twins, is what will make all the difference. For, in relativity, acceleration is truth's compass. It decides whose time will bend more, whose life will stretch longer. The ship begins to glow brighter as it descends. The traveler watches the stars rearrange, constellations reforming, old light catching up. He wonders how much has passed below, how many days his brother has waited, how many heartbeats he will never share. And yet, there is no sadness, only a strange, serene gratitude that time, though divided, still holds them both. When the ship finally lands, the air feels heavier, thicker with memory. The hatch opens, and the traveler steps out onto familiar soil. The sky above him is the same color, but the world beneath it has shifted. Trees have grown. Rivers have changed course. Children play in streets that were once empty. He walks through the town slowly, noticing the way people look at him, a man out of time, when he reaches the house where he was born. The door opens before he can knock. There stands his twin, older, slower eyes, full of years. For a long moment, neither speaks. The silence between them feels sacred, stretched across the fabric of everything they have become. Then the older twin smiles, faintly, almost shyly. "You're late," he says. The traveler laughs, not in mockery, but in awe, because for him it has been only a few years. For his brother, a lifetime. They sit together in the fading light, watching shadows grow long across the floor. The traveler speaks softly, describing the stars, the vast quiet of space, the stillness of time. The watcher listens, and his hands tremble. Not from age, but from understanding. They both realize that they have lived two versions of the same story, two truths, perfectly valid, bound by love and divided by motion. You feel that realization too. It sits gently in your chest. The idea that reality is not one line, but a tapestry, each thread carrying its own rhythm. As the night deepens, the twins fall silent again. The older one leans back, eyes half closed, and whispers, "It's strange. You look just as you did when you left." The traveler nods. "And you look just as I will one day become." Between them, the lamp flickers, the same kind of glow that once illuminated Einstein's desk. The same soft golden light that seems to connect all thinkers, all dreamers. Time moves differently now, but it still moves together. You sit quietly in that room with them, feeling the soft hum of existence around you. The house creaks. The air is still. The ticking clock on the wall sounds slower somehow, as if honoring both timelines at once. You begin to realize that this paradox is not conflict, it's harmony. Time dilation isn't a distortion. It's a reminder that the universe allows for more than one truth to coexist. You can love someone deeply and still move at different speeds. You can live lifetimes apart and still share one heart. The two brothers continue talking until dawn. Outside, the first rays of light touch the windows. The older twin closes his eyes and smiles, whispering, "I always knew you'd return." The younger twin takes his hand, holding it gently, a bridge between moments. And in that quiet gesture, relativity becomes something more than physics. It becomes poetry, because time, no matter how it stretches or bends, always finds a way to reconnect what was once together. And in that calm, eternal truth, both twins finally rest. The night sky stretches endlessly, a cathedral of darkness freckled with gold. Each star glimmers like a thought in the mind of the cosmos. You lie beneath it, still and weightless, feeling the slow rotation of Earth carry you gently eastward. To most, the stars seem eternal, unchanging. But to you, now attuned to the rhythm of relativity, they are the ticking hands of a clock older than time itself. You close your eyes and listen, not to any sound, but to the feeling of motion too large to be heard. The Milky Way drifts through the void, orbiting an unseen center, taking 200 million years to complete a single turn. Our sun rides that spiral arm like a bead on a string of light, pulling Earth and every life upon it through invisible waves of gravity and motion. This is not stillness. This is slow, exquisite movement, time's breath drawn across the galaxies. Imagine the universe as a great cosmic clock. Every star, every atom, every orbit is a gear, turning in perfect correspondence with all others. There is no central pendulum, no master metronome, only the quiet truth that time itself is the engine, steady and patient. And yet, like any clock, its rhythm changes depending on where you stand. Closer to the sun, time moves slower. Farther away, it runs freely. This is not metaphor. It is measurable truth. Gravity bends time, not violently, but gently, like a hand pressing down on soft fabric. Where mass curves, space-time, seconds lengthen. Where space is empty, they slip by unburdened. You feel this. Even now, the subtle weight of your own planet stretching time just enough to hold you here. Open your eyes again. Above you, starlight has traveled for thousands, sometimes millions of years to reach you. That glow you see tonight is not what is what was. You are not looking into space. You are looking into memory. The universe, vast and indifferent, keeps its own diary through the distance of light. Every photon is a time stamp, carrying the story of where and when it was born. And as it reaches you, it tells you, this is how the clock of creation beats. You feel small, yes, but also endless. For if the light of a star can survive millions of years to touch your eye, then perhaps your thoughts, your existence, ripple too a gentle distortion across time's surface. You begin to float, not in body, but in thought. Your consciousness lifting free of gravity's tether. You drift outward, past the blue edges of Earth's atmosphere, through the veil of night that guards the world below. From this height, you see the planet as a luminous clock face, its clouds swirling like slow seconds, its oceans gleaming with borrowed light. Cities sparkle like constellations inverted. Each one keeps time differently, some in hours, some in heartbeats, some in the quiet ticking of machines that never sleep. But above them all, the same rhythm reigns, the steady curvature of space-time. The cosmic clock has no hands, no ticking gears. It moves silently through expansion. Galaxies drift apart not in chaos, but in perfect order, each obeying the same invisible tempo. You watch the motion unfold, galaxies sliding away from one another, not because they flee, but because space itself stretches between them. The further they are, the faster they recede, the universe expanding like breath, exhaled after creation. And within that breath lies the memory of the first, second, the origin all other seconds are born from. You find yourself wondering, if the cosmos expands, what becomes of time? Does it stretch with space, slowing in its pulse, or does it rush ahead, counting every widening moment? The answer hums quietly in the dark, neither and both. Time and space are not separate. They are woven, elastic, bound by energy and gravity in a relationship so intimate that they can no longer be named apart. You drift deeper, through nebulae glowing like dreams, through clusters of stars packed tighter than imagination allows, through the black halos of collapsed suns, where gravity's pull is so immense that even light cannot escape. Here, time halts completely. This is the edge of the cosmic clock, the still point where seconds become infinite. A black hole is not darkness. It is density. It is time condensed until it can no longer move. If you were to fall toward it, your seconds would slow to eternity. To the outside world, you would appear frozen at its horizon, forever on the verge of falling, never arriving. To you, however, the descent would continue in silence, swift and unending, until the very structure of time dissolved around you. That paradox, stillness and motion entwined, is the heartbeat of the cosmic clock. Even stars obey it. Their births and deaths are time's punctuation marks, brief and bright. A star begins as a whisper of hydrogen, a cloud folding upon itself under gravity's insistence. Pressure builds, heat blooms, fusion begins, a silent fire that will last billions of years. Each second of a star's life is slower than yours. Its gravity bends the local flow of time. To the star, the universe's expansion is almost motionless. To you, its life passes in the turning of epochs. And yet, both perceptions are true. That is the quiet beauty of relativity. All clocks agree with their own reality. Now picture the Earth again, tiny, turning, full of lives that measure time in heartbeats, in sunrise and sleep. You see its satellites tracing silver rings around it, machines designed to mark time more precisely than any human can. These are the new guardians of the cosmic clock, the GPS satellites that circle far above. Their onboard clocks corrected for relativity itself. For up there, farther from gravity's pull, seconds move faster than they do for you here on the ground. If not corrected, Every signal they send would drift meters, then miles, then entire continents out of place. Even navigation depends on Einstein's dream. Think of that. Every time you check a map, every time a plane lands safely, or a message crosses oceans at light speed, you are trusting a universe that bends time differently for every altitude, every motion, every mass. And yet, it works in perfect harmony, because the cosmic clock is self-consistent, even when its hands disagree. You breathe in. The thought feels vast, but gentle. You begin to sense the universe, not as something distant or mechanical, but alive, pulsing, breathing, keeping time for itself. It is not an engine, but a living organism. Every atom in your body vibrates with the same rhythm that moves galaxies. You are not apart from the clock. You are one of its seconds, luminous and brief, but essential. You begin to drift again, deeper into the quiet. There is a point where you no longer know if you are moving through the universe or if the universe is moving through you. Time feels fluid, soft. You see ripples of energy, gravitational waves washing gently across the cosmic sea. They pass through everything, through you, through planets, through stars, bending space ever so slightly as they go. These are tides, the whispers of distant collisions, black holes merging, stars collapsing, entire galaxies trembling in resonance. The universe sings in frequencies too slow to hear, but you can feel it, like the bass of existence humming in your bones. Every ripple marks a beat. Every beat tells you the clock is still running. You find yourself near the edge of observable space, where galaxies thin into the darkness of what the human eye cannot see. Here, cosmic background radiation, faint, omnipresent, glows like the afterthought of creation. It is the oldest light, the echo of the Big Bang, still cooling, still expanding. To look upon it is to see the first tick of the universe's clock. Every photon in that ancient glow has traveled almost 14 billion years to reach your mind tonight. You feel its age, its patience. It reminds you that even the oldest seconds still arrive. You drift in silence, surrounded by time itself made visible. A vast ocean of faint warm color, spread evenly across the sky. It is gentle, not violent. Creation was never an explosion. It was an awakening, a blossoming of energy into space, of possibility into being, and it is still happening. Every moment you live, the universe continues to expand, continues to breathe. You turn inward. You watch a single beam of starlight begin its long journey. Born in some distant furnace of fusion, it leaves its birthplace with the simplicity of a promise to travel. It leaves without worry for how long the journey will be, or what will interrupt it, because a photon knows only one law: to move at the constant speed it was given. For light, motion, and being are the same thing. As you follow that beam, time feels slow and kind. The space it crosses is not empty. It is a gentle ocean full of gravity's tides. Planets pull, stars curve, galaxies swell. The light threads its way, and the path it takes tells a story. To your surprised ear, that story is quiet, not a shout of violence, but an old, patient song about the way mass and motion converse. You are floating beside the beam now. You feel the warmth of its origin, like the memory of a summer evening. The beam passes a small planet, and its path barely bows, a subtle nod to the planet's mass. So faint is the bend that only the most careful instruments could record it. Yet the effect is real. Space has curved just enough to alter the beam's direction. Further along, The light approaches a star's deeper field. Here, the curvature thickens. The beam's straightness becomes an arc. You see the stars around it elongate, like pearls on a string being pulled into a gentle curve. This bending is not random. It obeys the same geometry that tells planets how to orbit and rivers how to meander. Mass tells space how to curve. Space tells light how to move. There is a hush to it. The universe does not twist light as a craftsman tweaks clay. It simply offers the landscape, and light moves accordingly. This is what Einstein taught. Gravity is not a force in the old sense, but geometry's hand. Where things are heavy, the landscape of space-time dips and stretches. Light, ever faithful, follows the shortest possible path through that curved geometry, a geodesic which, to us who live on flatter ground, looks like bending. You move with the beam toward a cluster of galaxies, and the scenery grows grander. Clusters are like fortunes of mass piled atop each other, deep wells in the fabric of space. As the light passes, it is lensed. Its rays fan, fold, and sometimes circle around like water around a stone. You watch as a single, distant galaxy, once a faint smear, is turned into arcs of light and shimmering rings, an Einstein ring, named for the same quiet mind that first unfolded this idea. The sight is both strange and tender. Where one would expect a single point of light, there are several images instead, echoes of the same thing arriving by different routes. Each image is slightly delayed, each carrying a shade of time's patience. You learn then that light's path is more than geometry. It is also memory. The different routes take different times, so what you see is not one moment, but many. You feel the gentle oddness of this. A galaxy can speak to you in multiple voices. One image may be younger by millennia than another, because one path took a longer detour around the same gravitational hill. The universe becomes layered, like pages in a book slightly offset. Each one readable if you know how to listen as your beam threads the cluster. You encounter microlances, smaller concentrations of mass like compact stars or planets that bend light in miniature, delicate ways. These tiny lenses can make a distant star flash, magnifying it briefly as if the universe has paused to let you peer into a moment with extra care. It is like holding a drop of water to the light and watching a scene within. Become clear, you realize that gravity's bending of light is a tool as well as a spectacle. Astronomers on distant worlds will use it as a lens to see things, otherwise to faint, to remote. You feel a quiet gratitude. The cosmos lays down its own magnifying glass, offering glimpses of its own hidden history. In the arcs and rings, you glimpse newborn stars, dying supernovas, and galaxies folded into themselves like slow, elaborate origami. There is more to this bending than visual beauty. As light skirts mass, its passage is not only spatially longer or shorter, temporally it shifts too. You learn about delays, the measuring of time between different lensed images. One path arrives sooner, another lags like a thought catching up. By comparing them, those who study the heavens can infer the depth of the gravitational wells and even glean something of the expansion of space itself. Light is both cartographer and clock. You drift toward one such lensing event and find that the images are not merely doubled but smeared, braided into ghostly shapes. Some light loops near a massive galaxy and returns almost to itself, circling the lens as if the mass briefly holds it in a soft embrace before letting go. The motion is slow, patient, like a tide that remembers the moon. In that looping, you appreciate the paradox. Gravity, which seems to pull, can also reveal more because of what it hides. By bending light, we see around corners of the universe we could not otherwise enter. The bending of light is not always neat. Sometimes it creates magnified, distorted portraits of the past. You see an image of a star that, in its own time, exploded. The light that reached you passed near many masses, was stretched and delayed, and only now assembles to whisper the star's death. The universe extends an invitation to grief and wonder. It lets you witness events long gone as if they were present. You can watch history unspool in multiple threads, simultaneous and true. Further still, you observe gravitational lensing, not only of light, but of other messengers. The way the paths of neutrinos, or the ripples of gravitational waves, are nudged by mass. Gravitational waves, those faint tremors of space-time itself, can be shown through the same lenses, arriving with delays and distortions. The entire orchestra of cosmic signals can be arranged and rearranged by mass. The universe designs a complex living score where every instrument can be tuned by geometry. You notice how the bending also teaches humility. What you see is so often not where something truly is, but the place where its light finally chose to arrive. Sight becomes a story told twice, by the object and by the root. The sky, then, is a palimpsest, written over with paths and delays, layers of truth stacked where we can peer through them if we are patient enough. As you float, the idea of a gravitational lens becomes intimate. You imagine using a lens to peer into the mind of a friend, catching multiple echoes of their voice, each slightly late, each from a different angle. You would learn the past of that voice as much as the present. You would know things you could not otherwise see. The universe lends us this ability by curving paths and giving us the richness of delayed echoes at a smaller scale. You begin to see what happens near a black hole. Their curvature is extreme. Light paths can wind around and around, trapped in a ballet of almost a photons skim the edge and escape like breath exhaled after being held too long. Some loop many times, appearing as faint rings, now called photon spheres. The effect is eerie. At the threshold of a black hole, images can become fractal, multiplied into ghost images that circle toward silence. The beauty is chilling and calm. The black hole's lens shows you a ring of light, an outline of shape and absence, where the interior is a deep, honest darkness. Around it, accreting gas glows, bent into arcs and smeared into colors not easily named. Time here seems elastic. Clocks near the horizon, slow. Light that escapes carries a memory of being stretched. The closer you come, the more the world compresses into slowness. You feel in your bones that to stare too long might mean being folded into the geometry itself. Yet even here, there is gentleness. The bending of light near such extremes does not punish. It reveals how the universe keeps its secrets, not by fire and fury, but by elegant curve and reflective patience. Each distorted image is a kindness, a method for seeing what lies where sight cannot directly go. You think of older astronomers, peering through small, shaky telescopes, who once mistook lensing for strange nebulae. Now their descendants use the same phenomenon to weigh the cosmos, to measure the invisible scaffolding of dark matter, the unseen mass, whose presence is betrayed by how it bends light. The bending thus becomes forensic. You do not only see luminous matter, but also the ghostly outline of what does not shine. Gravity's hand traces the shape of what hides. There is softness in that revelation. The universe does not let us remain blind to its deeper fabric. It offers hints, shadows, and arcs. From them you piece together a map, where mass lies, how space stretches, the rate at which the cosmos grows. Lenses become tools of trust. They allow you to read the handwriting of gravity across the sky. You drift in the dim glow of a dying star. Around you, the night bends inward, and the quiet becomes heavier than sound. Space feels thick here, not hostile, just deeply slow, like air underwater. Every heartbeat, every shimmer of light feels stretched. Ahead, gravity swells into something vast and sacred. The event horizon, it isn't a wall, not really. It's more like a threshold, a line that light itself cannot recross. Beyond it, everything, time, matter, sound, even the meaning of distance folds inward. You float just above that line, near enough to feel the world begin to curve beneath your awareness. A faint pulse shimmers through the dark. It's not sound, but gravity's own language, rippling outward from a place where stars have fallen. It hums low, the kind of tone that doesn't reach your ears, but your bones. These are the echoes of the event horizon, the final murmurs of things that have crossed the boundary and cannot return, yet still leave behind their song. You sense it now, the light around you bending, turning redder, deeper, softer, until it vanishes. The photons stretched beyond sight aren't gone. They're merely slowed beyond recognition. It's as though time itself forgets how to move, pooling near the horizon like syrup. In the distant universe, someone watching this same scene would never see you fall. To them, your descent freezes. The closer you drift toward the horizon, the slower you seem to move, until you're suspended, a ghost of motion, endlessly approaching, but never quite crossing. That is relativity's strange kindness. What is doomed from one perspective still lingers forever in another. You hover and watch your own reflection curve. Every beam of light from your body tries to escape, but most are pulled sideways, downward, bent back toward the gravity you're facing. The universe behind you smears into an arc, the stars bending around the invisible sphere like a halo painted on darkness. It's both terrifying and gentle, a portrait of surrender. Einstein once called such gravity geometry's compassion. He imagined that space and time themselves bend to cradle matter. Here, at the event horizon, you feel that cradle, not as an embrace of comfort, but as inevitability's soft touch. The boundary is perfectly patient. It doesn't rush, doesn't pull in panic. It simply waits. You look around. Everything quiets into blue-black calm. The nearer you drift, the more your clock slows. From your perspective, the universe above seems to race forward. Stars are born and die in blinks. Galaxies drift apart. The cosmos ages while you move mere centimeters. You are a witness trapped between now and forever. Inside this strange, slowing dance, light bends back toward you, looping again and again before finally vanishing. You see your own image multiplied, hundreds of tiny reflections spiraling around the black circle, each one representing a photon that almost escaped but chose a different path. The result is a faint glowing ring, the photon sphere shimmering like liquid gold on the edge of nothing. You realize this is what the universe sees when it looks back at its most secret places. Astronomers call it the shadow of a black hole, not the darkness itself, but the last trace of light before silence. It's not absence. It's the memory of light that almost made it home. You drift closer. The air, or rather, the vacuum seems alive with trembling fields. Magnetic forces twist and arc like auroras around the horizon. Gas and dust, drawn by gravity, spiral inward at nearly the speed of light. They form an accretion disk, a whirlpool of fire and silence. It glows with terrifying beauty, orange, blue, and white streams of matter orbiting faster than thought. Each fragment of matter is telling a story as it falls, of collisions, friction, and release. Atoms torn apart sing in space ripples with their final cries. But in this serenity, even destruction feels like a kind of offering, the universe recycling itself, feeding on what it has created, transforming energy into curvature. As you drift beside that luminous whirl, you feel the temperature rise, not as heat, but as frequency. Photons dance around you like restless fireflies, yet the sound, the noise of their movement, is absent. The vacuum carries only the soft vibration of gravitational waves, ripples that travel faster than your comprehension, carrying with them stories of ancient collapses. And there it is, a faint hum, a tremor through time. Somewhere, far beyond, two black holes collided 1 billion years ago, perhaps more. The ripples from that union have only just reached this place, brushing past you like the ghost of thunder from a storm long ended. You feel it in your chest, a resonance that has nothing to do with sound and everything to do with belonging. You remember then, an event horizon is not destruction, it is transformation. Beyond it, matter continues, not as form, but as information folded into curvature. Nothing is erased. It is merely rearranged in ways you cannot yet imagine. The equations suggest that what falls in still exists on the surface encoded in the horizon itself. Every particle, every photon, every thought that ever touched this gravity leaves a signature. The black hole becomes a library of silence. Each quantum whisper imprints itself on the boundary, a cosmic memory too subtle for any eye. Some call it the holographic principle, that the universe, in its deepest sense, might be a projection. Every volume of space encoded on its outer skin. You drift along that skin now, sensing the infinite data written in nothing but trembling gravity. You begin to understand, even silence is not empty. The horizon hums faintly with quantum fire, hawking radiation. Virtual particles flicker in pairs along the boundary, borrowing existence from the vacuum. One falls in, the other escapes, carrying with it the soft heat of the black hole's slow evaporation. This evaporation is impossibly slow. A supermassive black hole would take longer than the age of the universe to fade. Yet the principle remains. Even the deepest darkness eventually gives back its light. You picture it like dew rising from shadow, a soft exhalation of entropy. The cosmos, patient and forgiving, will one day return every bit of what it has gathered. You drift still closer, to where the curvature becomes too steep to imagine. Here, mathematics trembles. Space and time, once reliable companions, blur into something else. It's as though the map folds into itself, and you can no longer tell direction from duration. If you could fall past the horizon, you wouldn't feel the crossing. The boundary is not marked. It's invisible. To an outside observer, you would appear frozen forever. But to you, within your own frame of time, you would pass smoothly, silently, and find yourself carried inward, toward what no theory can yet describe, the singularity. But you do not fall. You hover on the edge, a listener between worlds. Around you, the gravitational field warps everything, even the whispers of quantum fields. The vacuum here is not empty. It seethes with fluctuations, tiny bursts of potential energy. They flicker in and out of being, giving the black hole its faint glow. You imagine that glow as breath, the black hole inhaling the cosmos and exhaling a whisper of information. Nothing is truly lost. Everything becomes part of the universal conversation. In the soft gravity arc, you hear a murmur that could be your own memory returning. You see visions of stars collapsing, of time reversing, of galaxies spinning like slow clock hands. The echoes aren't sound, but recognition, the sense that you have always been falling toward this understanding. You realize that in some way, the horizon is everywhere. Every observer, every limit, every edge of perception is its own event horizon, a boundary beyond which you cannot see but from which information still returns in clues and shadows. The universe is built on these horizons, nested like dreams. You imagine being light itself, caught between escape and surrender. You would feel infinitely patient, neither living nor ending, only circling, watching the universe play out above you in a blur of accelerating time. To you, the future would come all at once. The expansion of galaxies, the cooling of stars, the quiet fade of cosmic background light, all would arrive in a single, overwhelming breath. Then, perhaps, you'd understand eternity, not as infinite duration, but as a single, unbroken now. The horizon, once feared, becomes tranquil. You begin to feel gratitude for its existence, for the way it defines what can be known and what must remain mystery. Without limits, there would be no shape to wonder. Without boundaries, curiosity could not exist. The stars above you stretch and smear, forming circles of light around the black center. It is like looking into a slow-turning mirror that shows not reflection but revelation. The silence deepens until even thought slows to a whisper. You reach out, not with your hand, but with awareness and touch, the curve of darkness. It hums beneath your mind like a living drum. You sense the vibration of space-time itself, tuned to a note too deep for any ear. In that hum lies the echo of every fall, every transformation, every surrender. It feels warm, not in temperature, but in meaning, as though the universe itself is reminding you that nothing truly ends. It only changes its form of light. You stay there for what could be seconds or eons. Around you, photons continue their circular ballet. Hawking radiation flickers softly, like candlelight on the edge of night. Gravity sings its patient song, bending everything, even silence, toward coherence. Somewhere within that stillness, you understand, to reach the event horizon is to meet the universe's deepest act of balance. Here, creation and destruction are the same gesture. Falling and floating are one. You are not pulled in, you are carried home, and so you let go, not to fall, but to be still. You let the cosmos cradle you in its gravity, and listen to the faint echoes from within the horizon, the voices of light, matter, and memory, still humming softly as they curve forever inward. The hum fades into a deep, endless calm.